like we're backsliding. Feels like we're backsliding. Feels like we're backsliding. Feels like we're backsliding.
This week on the Analog Circle podcast, we get new information on both the new Black Panther game and Iron Man game, both being published by EA. More specs continue to pour out for the PS5 Pro, and it continues to sound quite impressive. More demos of big titles could continue to be a trend that we see in the industry. And it's two games that we're going to go over today that possibly point to that being the new trend. And the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake is still in active development, but don't get too excited just yet. But all of these stories, including a voicemail being sent over by Goose and an email being sent over by Crimson Phoenix, will be covered in episode 205 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and welcome to the show. Welcome. It is always an honor and a pleasure to have you guys here. Now, before we officially get into the show, if you do want to be a part of listener feedback, you can do it two different ways. You can either call in at 443-380-0281 and let your voice literally be heard like Brother Goose later on in the show, or you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Email the show just like good brother Crimson Phoenix. Now, with that being said, guys, I think it is time to go ahead and get into what we all come here for, and that is the gaming news that went down. So let's go ahead, and I do apologize for not recording on Sunday. I could not do it. Got caught up into a couple of things around the house, so it wasn't going to happen. But if you are a member of the Facebook group, the Analog Circle Facebook group, you would have seen it in there. I would definitely implore you guys to go over there. It's so much fantastic information in there, about the gaming news and different conversations that do tend to happen over in that group. And as a matter of fact, I think I would be remiss if I did not shout out the good brother that is always over there doing incredible work. He was on the podcast, but I gotta shout him out again. Shout out to Mr. Lawrence Jones for always publishing stories in there and just dropping so much great gaming information. But definitely come join the group. We would be happy to have you. But let's go ahead and let's get into the first story for this week. And I actually got it from Game Informer. So let's start things off on a positive note. Now, the Fallout TV series has been very, and I mean very, well received by fans of the gaming franchise and critics alike. So they couldn't have chosen a better time for Fallout 4 to get its new gen update, which will release on Series X, S, and PlayStation 5 and will include 60 frames per second, increased resolutions, stability improvements, and more. Now, the great thing is you won't have to wait long for this because it is going to release on April 25th, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, with this huge success that they're having with this franchise, this new show that I believe isn't on Amazon, I forget which outlet it's on. Is it on Prime? Something like that. I can't remember. But them having this kind of success with the show, having this new update actually happen at this time, this is perfect Perfect. Because you can't let moments like this slip through your hands, slip through the cracks. So what I'm thinking is, if they are smart, Sarah Bond, Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, if they want to continue to capitalize on this momentum that this show has given the franchise and having people coming in. I think Bethesda even came out and had this banner that said, welcome, everyone is welcome. They had Fallout 76, I believe, as the banner where they were saying, welcoming new people into the game. So if they want to continue to ride high on this success and bring more players in, because that's always the biggest goal, to continue to bring new people in, making them fans, I have to believe that the smart people, at least you would hope the smart people over at Microsoft, at Xbox, even though they have not made some of the best moves in my opinion, but I would have to believe that the momentum that they have off of this show for a franchise that they now own, it is their first party franchise, that they have to have some kind of announcement to happen at E3. Well, we know it's not E3, but during the E3 season, their show that is happening in June, they have to have some kind of announcement for Fallout. Something, I mean something, to continue to get the fans excited, fans that are already and have been fans of the franchise, and new people that are just getting into the fold and giving this giving this franchise a shot for the first time. I have to believe some kind of big announcement is going to happen for Fallout. Now, will it mean that it's Fallout 5? I would hope so. I would hope that would be the goal. But even if it's not Fallout 5, which I think it is due, it is time to hear something about that right now. But even if it's not that, even if they were to talk about another remake, I don't know, New Vegas, a remake of that, just something to continue to ride this amazing momentum that they have going on for the franchise. So we will see what happens with this, but them having this new gen update happening on I guess it is not next gen, but current generation hardware, doing these updates to 60 frames per second and better resolution and the stability improvements, those are fantastic stepping stones. I just hope that they continue to ride the momentum of this and continue to keep the fan base extremely excited for the future of the Fallout franchise. Let's go ahead and let's get into the next story that I actually got from Game Rant. Now, the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake has reportedly been restarted and will be built again from the ground up. So they have scrapped it all, ground up, starting all over again. And the new devs have allegedly changed almost everything that was created by the previous team. Now, what's also being reported, the game has been rewritten and mocapped again, and the new version will bring a, quote, realistic approach, end of quote, with improved graphics, animations, mechanics compared to the previous build. Now, it's also been said the game is in a early phase of development, so it is definitely a few years away. This was a game that I thought we were going to see something on when Ubisoft is going to do their show. Always call it E3-esque, or E3 season, because we know that E3 season, that's May and June. So next month is going to kick that off. So at their show, at the Ubisoft show, I was really hoping that they were going to show this off again, because I was actually excited about this announcement when it originally happened. So I was hoping for an update, but according again to reports from Game Rant, it doesn't seem like the game is going to be in any state to really show off, especially since it's being touted as it's in the early phase of development, and they've pretty much tore everything down that previously that previously existed in the version before. So that on top of the fact that I think some of the positives to take away from this is them actually taking on a more realistic approach to the game, remocapping it and, kind of rewriting some things as well. So it seems like they're really trying to take it to another level, to that next level, as far as trying to give the best product possible. Of course, we got to wait to see what happens with the product, to tell whether or not it is a quality product. But it does seem like the effort is definitely there. So for any of you guys like myself that were looking forward to this game being released possibly soon, you got to pump the brakes just a little bit longer, because it seems like for the foreseeable future that this thing is going to be in development for quite some time until we can see something new on it. Let's go ahead though, and let's get into one of the more interesting stories that happened last week. So I actually got this next story from GameSpot. So let's move into some, and this is unfortunate, but it is interesting. But EA news. We're going to talk about EA here for a minute. Now, it's being reported that Dead Space 2 Remake is not being worked on because of the sales of the first remake not meeting expectations. However, EA came out to clear some things up when they spoke to IGN and said, quote, "We don't normally comment on rumors, but there is no validity to this story." End of quote. Now, according to Jeff Grubb, he says, quote, "They were working on a Dead Space 2 and they are no longer working on it. It is on the shelf because the first game had lackluster sales." End of quote. Now, he also said it was still in the pre-production phase. So for all of this pre-production and early production, dang. But so for now, it looks like the studio is concentrating on Iron Man and the new Battlefield game. So who knows? Once they finish those two projects, maybe they'll look back at Dead Space 2 Remake and reassess the situation. It is interesting. I want to know, how many copies did Dead Space sell? We're going to look this up together like we always do. Let's see if they got some numbers here. How many copies of Dead Space Remake were sold? Let's see. Doesn't have any doggone numbers. Let me see. Did the remake sell well? Okay. Hasn't reported. So they haven't reported the official sales yet. Now I heard that it sold 2 million copies. Maybe that was false. Since according to, and what's this website that's saying this? This is Reddit. Reddit is so iffy. But Reddit is saying they don't know. IGN also said, and this was 7 days ago, that it says the Dead Space Remake was ultimately considered to have done well, though other reports suggest that it missed expectations. So we don't know for sure what the numbers are looking like, but I do know that Dead Space Remake, and I have it upstairs. I can't wait to get to it, but I got a couple of games that I'm working on before I get there. But I was told that the game was so well received. It had so many great things that they did extra with the game, that weren't in the original, where it enhanced it so much more, made it so much better than the original. And I'm just saying to myself, man, a lot of people appreciated it. A lot of people were happy about the changes that were done. I'm just hoping that EA, they will go back to Dead Space 2, because for me, I never played 1 or 2. I jumped on with Dead Space 3, and I've said this before. People said that was the worst game in the franchise, and I loved it. I absolutely thought it was sensational. It was fantastic as far as I was concerned. But having it be the situation as it stands right now, them actually not working on Dead Space, or according to Jeff Grubb, and that's the thing, Jeff Grubb, this guy really has a solid track record. It's not perfect. It's not at all perfect, but this guy definitely has. This guy is pretty good with the things that he says. So for him to say that they're actually putting it on the shelf for right now so that they can concentrate on Iron Man and the new Battlefield that will be releasing, I'm sure Battlefield will be releasing before Iron Man. But if that is the case and they're putting it on the shelf and could possibly come back to Dead Space 2 after those two projects are out, to just look and see what the temperature is and possibly say, okay, now we can go ahead and, start production on Dead Space, finish that up and get that released out. I think that that's a good thing, because at least it doesn't mean that the project allegedly is dead. They're just shelving it right now to make sure that they're putting their resources on Iron Man, which I am excited about that game. And trust me, we got some things to talk about with that game a little later in the show. But let's go ahead and let's move into the next story. And this next story, I actually got it from Nintendo Life. We haven't had a Nintendo story on the podcast in weeks. And, I don't know how much this one is going to do for anybody, but I was a little saddened by it. So according to, hold on, is this that story? Nah, this ain't that story. But yeah, this story, I got it from Nintendo Life. So according to Saber Interactive CEO Matthew Karch, he feels the $70 God, dog, get it together, brother. He feels the $70 model is not sustainable. Now, he said, quote, I think as games become more expensive to make, the $70 title is going to go the way of the dodo bird. God, dog. He says, I just don't think it's sustainable. I think the market is going to shift to development, which is not necessarily lower quality, but there's going to be an emphasis on trying to find ways to reduce costs. End of quote. So, is this the future? That is the bigger question. I mean, we see where Microsoft stands with it right now. Microsoft has one of the poster childs for what Matthew, is that, I want to make sure that's his name. Yeah, Matthew Karch, for what he is talking about, having the game be AAA with the quality of it, but AA in budget. Now, this is the interesting thing, though, because Hellblade 2, yeah, it has that AAA look to it. But when you got one enemy on the screen at a time, fight, God, dog, I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, the visuals, it looks good. And it's an 8 to 10 hour game. Am I opposed to 8 to 10 hour game experiences? Absolutely not. Some games don't need to be any longer than 10 hours. I mean, some games, they overstay their welcome, and you just wish that the game had ended hours ago. And one of those games that I hear that about is Days Gone. People said the game was good, but God, dog, they wish they could have chopped off some of that story. Some people have even said it about The Last of Us Part 2. I definitely don't think that was the case. Last of Us Part 2 was amazing. Both sides of the story, all of that good stuff. I thought it was a great length, as far as how long the game had stood, how long you were able to play it, the hours that it took to actually complete the game. But I'm saying this model that Matthew was talking about, it's going to come with some of those it's going to come with some sacrifices having to be made, whether it's the time of how long the game is going to last, or it's going to come with having to slash that price point again to the $50, or it could be a situation where they're going to be compromises, again, having one character on the screen at once. Now, granted, I know y'all can say, well, Kiaun ain't the only AA game that does that. Yeah, absolutely right. Can I think of any AA games off the top of my head that have multiple enemies on the screen that look like Hellblade 2 does? I can't think of nothing right now. I mean, maybe Cuphead, maybe Ori and the Will of the Wisp and the Blind Forest, which were phenomenal games. Man, let me tell you something, man. Ori, that game is that thing was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But again, it's a AA game. Is that the model that's going to take gaming to the next level? If you're talking about AA having to, pretty much cut these budgets down. I don't know. I don't think that's the answer. What I think the answer is they just need to kind of keep the budgets a little bit more intact. They can make them a little more lean. And I do know, now this is one thing that is going to be interesting, because for right now, Hiroki Totoki, he is the active CEO of PlayStation right now. And we know this joker, I ain't saying he penny pinching, but this cat, he ain't trying to spend more than he needs to. So we will see exactly how his approach is going to be, because I think he would be a good person to look at to see what he's going to have Sony, their different studios, the PlayStation studios, what kind of budget is he going to give these guys? And if they can work within that budget and still make a AAA game, then we may have a conversation. I mean, because PlayStation, listen, I know some of y'all probably say, man, this guy always gives PlayStation so much credit and gives Xbox so much grief. You might be right, brother. You might be absolutely correct. But the only reason why I feel that way is because Sony continues to deliver incredible gaming experiences. I mean, incredible gaming experiences, man. Matter of fact, brother, I was just playing. Now, I'm sorry, I got to kind of veer off for a second from this $70 budget titles and all of this stuff, but it will coincide. So, talking about Sony, their budgets are insane. $300 million for Spider-Man 2. God, dog, I don't know what Insomniac was doing to actually have that budget inflate that much. I don't know, but what I can tell you, though, matter of fact, hold on. Before I get into it, I want to see if I can find the budget for the game that I'm about to bring up. How much was the budget for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart?
$81 million. According to Game Rant, while Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart received critical praise, its sales figures fell short of its $81 million budget, resulting in a financial loss for Insomniac.
God, dog. Now that is a shame, man.
Move this man.
That is a travesty. $81 million. Okay. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I've been playing through this game. I got 16 hours into the game. I'm about 76% complete. And this game for me, is really batting at like a 10 out of 10 for me. This game has been like darn near perfect. It has been incredible. I mean, man, I did this one mission. God, dog, I don't know for any of you guys that have played Rift Apart from beginning to end. It's this one part, man. You're grinding on these rails. You have these train cars that are coming towards you, and you got to jump from rail to rail. And then in between jumping from rail to rail, you got to switch to another dimension. The dimension switches over you on a different set of rails, different scenery, everything. And you're switching and jumping back over again. It was so cinematic. It was absolutely incredible. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. They made that for $81 million. A far cry from $300 million. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart with the Pulse headsets on. Oh my goodness. It was so incredible. I had stayed up 2 or 3 hours playing that game straight. It was like crack cocaine. I could not put the game down. It was so detailed, and people want to say that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart could have run on the PlayStation 4. I don't think so, man. I absolutely don't think the PlayStation 4 would have been powerful enough to keep the effects, the frame rate, the AI isn't like super smart or anything like that, but I will say it tripped me out when I was actually firing this enforcer weapon. It's like a shotgun, and I pulled it out and I was shooting them. Boom, that sounds crazy. And I pulled, oh, shucks. But I pulled the gun out, the enforcer, and started shooting them. Boom, boom. And they had these shields up. And one of the enemies said, "Oh no, he's using the enforcer." I said, "What? What?" He knew I was using what kind of gun I was using to fire at. It was crazy. That game is nuts. Absolutely nuts. So again, if I'm gonna say Ratchet and Clank, God dog, if Insomniac could make a game like Rift Apart for $81 million and do what they did with that game, and it hurts me. Dang, it hurts me that the game fell short. I thought that was a darn rumor that the game fell short of the sales that they were expecting. That game is a marvel. It is a technical marvel. How beautiful that game is, the voice acting, the story is really good, man. It's pulling, ain't pulling at the heartstrings like heavy, but it's certain scenes in there where you're like, oh man, that was nice. That was real nice gesture. You know, gesture, Clank or Rivet. It's just such a phenomenal game, man. But we're going to see about these budgets. $81 million to get a game like Ratchet and Clank out the door, Rift Apart. Matter of fact, let's do one more, man, because I was gone on Sunday. I want to spend some time with y'all, man. We're going to kind of piece through these budgets here. We see how much was the budget for Spider-Man Miles Morales?
According to Gaming Bolt, as per the leak, which was shared on Reddit, Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales has sold over 10.2 million units worldwide on all platforms. The game seemingly had a total budget of $156 million, and with revenue exceeding $260 million, it turned a $104 million profit, with a 122% return on investment.
Good grief. So yeah, it varies. So Ratchet and Clank, $81 million. Spider-Man, Miles Morales, $156 million. Now, the interesting thing about both of those games are they're not like super long games. Ratchet and Clank, like I said, I got about 16 hours in it. By the time I finish, it'll probably be about maybe about 18 hours, somewhere around there. Because like I said, I'm about 76% complete. And I have Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I spent it took me about 18 hours to actually finish that game. So these games, as far as lengths go, they're running neck and neck with each other. So I'm taking it, just trying to break down this budget that possibly it's not necessarily the length of the game that actually takes the most money, but I'm taking it's people's salaries, the time it takes to actually make the games, and who's making games at a faster clip than Insomniac. They got this thing down to a science to be able to get their games out every 2.5 to 3 years on the level that they're able to get them out at. It's crazy. So, it's interesting. It's an interesting thought that Matthew Karch is talking about, saying that the $70 model might not be sustainable. It might go the way of the dodo bird. I don't know about that. Because for me, again, if it's coming down to quality versus quantity, man, I will pay for the quality. If $70, and trust me, I don't want to pay $70, but for one, I'm a fan, of gaming. It's my number one hobby. In order to keep it around, if the cost is $70 to make sure that those AAA games are able to stay around, then I'll pay the cost, but it has to be worth it, so we'll see what happens with this. I know that, and I can't take credit for it. I gotta, give, the Iron Lords. I was listening to their podcast. Shout out to those brothers, man. They were, talking about, because they went into the details about this guy, Matthew, a little deeper, where they were saying it kind of seemed like he was talking about actually moving development to different parts of the world, to basically to other places that may not be as expensive as here in the States, to move to other regions of the world and have them actually do the development. And, it would keep the cost down. And I'm like, man, you going to start exporting gaming jobs? I'm like, dog, man, we already got enough export going on. But they brought up a good point, the Iron Lords, where they said, but them doing that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the same talent level of people actually putting together these games like you have over at Insomniac, over at Ninja Theory, because I am a huge fan of Ninja Theory. Don't get it twisted, but over at Ninja Theory, Naughty Dog, et cetera, et cetera. So it doesn't mean that the quality is going to be better. And that's what I'm saying. If the quality is going to be there, I'm not going to have any loss in quality for the games that I enjoy and the games that I want to purchase, and make sure that I'm, giving them my hard-earned money because I believe in them that much in the games that they're making, then I will pay the price. But, again, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with this? We shall see. But what I want to do right now is I want to go ahead and I want to get into the email that was sent over by good brother Crimson Phoenix. Now, the title of his email is Research is Fundamental. He said, oh, shucks, this brother about to burn me up. I know he about to burn me up. He says, a few weeks back, you said there weren't any games with ray tracing on Xbox. There's nearly 30. I gave you the list. Now you say that there are no graphics sliders on Xbox to choose between modes 30 frames versus 30 and ray tracing versus full native 4K and so on. He says, I hate to say it, like last week, you're going to have to eat that crow. Oh, man. He says most of the games I listed last week that have the ray tracing also have a graphics slider, and many more that have no ray tracing but still do have the slider. Only your choices are native 4K 30 versus dynamic 60, or even in some cases 120 frames. He says, let us console war. Shout out to you guys, dog. This brother right here, man. Hold on, let me see. I'm gonna see if I can find the list that you sent me, brother. Hold on. Let me see the list that my good brother Crimson Phoenix sent me. He said, hold on, what is it? Because I want to see what games these are that have the ray tracing 4K. God darn, this is a huge list. The list of games he gave me. He says, research is fundamental. Here's a comprehensive list of games that currently support ray tracing on the Xbox Series X. It's Bright Memory Infinite, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, Series X only, Call of the Sea, Chorus, Rises 1, Control, Ultimate Edition, really Control? God dog. Devil May Cry 5. Yeah, that was one of the first games they actually had on Digital Foundry. That was like the first face-off that they had, was Devil May Cry on the PS5 and Series X. Doom Eternal, Forza Motorsport 2023, Gears 5, that's software ray tracing. Grand Theft Auto 5, Guardians of the Galaxy, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. God dog, really? Hitman 3, Jedi Survivor 2023, Man-Eater, Metro Exodus Enhanced Version, Minecraft, Naraka, Blade Point, I don't even know what that one is, brother. NBA 2K22, Observer, System Redux, Poker Club. Man, Poker Club, oh man, God, dog, Poker Club, brother. Oh man, but you know what? If it's ray tracing, God dog, I can't say nothing about it. It's ray tracing. But Poker Club, man, playing cards, playing a doggone game of blackjack, can do it in doggone ray tracing mode. What the world is going on? Let me see. Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil Village. Resident Evil 7, the Village. Ride 4, Stalker 2, The Medium, which is Series X only, and Watch Dogs Legion. And at the bottom, he said, that's 25 plus. Well, I gotta guide dog it, man. Well, what I want to do, Mr. Crimson Phoenix, golly, this brother right here, man, golly. I want to make a public apology to the Xbox, to the Xbox community, and tell you guys I apologize for putting out here false information that the Xbox Series X is not capable of ray tracing. We haven't seen ray tracing on any of their games thus far. I apologize, Crimson Phoenix. He got me right. He got me right. So next time I'm going to have to go out there and I'm going to have to do some research. Like this brother said, doggone research is fundamental. Golly. Listen, man, Crimson Phoenix, brother, I always appreciate it, man. When you write in and you give me some information, that's what I always say. That's why I really, really love hearing from y'all. You can always school me, man. I'm never, ever above reproach or somebody telling me something that I don't know, because I don't get it right. I don't get it right all the time. And God dog, I fell short on 25 plus of those titles. Darn, that's a big F. That's a fail, but I do apologize for that, for telling you guys stuff that was not true. And that's why, you guys, when y'all write in, y'all can always school me and tell me something. Tell me where I'm wrong on some things to be able to correct it so that I won't be spreading false information. But Crimson Phoenix, again, my good brother, thank you so much for the email and for that list, that 25 plus games list of games that can do ray tracing on Xbox, and even some games, let me make sure that I got it right, my good brother. Some games that can do 60 frames per second, where you're able to slide in between the graphics sliders. Now, he did say, it's 60 frames mode versus 30 frames, ray tracing versus full native 4K and so on. Yeah, so brother, I just want to say thank you for that, Crimson Phoenix. It was greatly appreciated. Even pointing out that some games can do 120 frames. Man, now I ain't gonna lie, Crimson, they got to be last. They got to be last generation games. Ain't no way a game from this generation is doing 120 frames per second, brother. I don't know about that. And he didn't say that. Crimson did not say that. He just said that it is capable on the Series X that some games can do 120 frames per second. But again, thank you so much, brother Crimson Phoenix. I really, really appreciate you, my brother. And I hope that you continue to write in. Thank you, brother. Oh man, now he heated me up, god dog, man. Let me try to drink some water, man. This brother golly, man. But you got to call me out. If I'm wrong, man. So I appreciate you, my brother. But let's go ahead and let's get into the next story. So this next story, I actually got it from Game World. So in Stellar Blade news, it's being reported by Ampere. Hopefully I'm saying that name right. It's spelled Ampere, Ampere, maybe. I don't know, but they're analysts. But according to them, Stellar Blade's demo has surpassed Final Fantasy VII's Rebirth demo as far as active players hitting 690,000 daily active players at its peak, while Final Fantasy VII Rebirth hit 380,000 active players at its peak, meaning Stellar Blade almost double the player count. Now, to be fair though, since Rebirth launched globally, the active players have gone up to 2.21 million. Now, it's also being predicted by analysts that Stellar Blade could sell more than 4 million copies, but Ampere did note those numbers could be lower due to it being a new IP. So here we have Stellar Blade, or some called Stellar Yams, out here outperforming. Man, I got to be honest, man. I'm a little upset about this, man. Just a little bit, just a taste upset about this, because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, get it? And I understand it's a demo. I get that. But based on the demo, they're saying that it could sell 4 million copies. 4 million. And according to, let's check the numbers on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because everybody's talking about how bad it did, and it was a mistake for Square Enix to jump ship when it came to Xbox, and they should have never made it exclusive or anything like that. So let's just see what the numbers are, or if we can find them. How many copies of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth have sold?
According to Push Square, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has sold around 2 million copies, PS5 player data suggests. Unless a game is breaking records, it's quite rare that we get direct sales data from publishers, and Square Enix in particular is somewhat notorious for this.
God, dog, this was 6 days ago. 2 million copies! 2 million copies? Man, you got to be kidding me. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has sold 2 million copies. Isn't it like 50 million PlayStation 5s out there? 50 million? Man, hold on. How many PlayStation 5s have sold?
According to VG Charts, the PlayStation 5 has now sold an estimated 48.93 million units lifetime worldwide.
We ain't even got to hear no more. Almost 50 million PlayStation 5s have sold, and only 2 million copies of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth have some. What the heck is going on? What is going on? Man, I can't imagine. Man, the disrespect. God, dog. Can you imagine if Stellar Blade, and I like Stellar Blade, I think it's a great game. I'm picking it up day one. But Dad, can you imagine a new IP, brand new IP, coming out on the scene on the PlayStation 5, possibly selling double what Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, one of those most anticipated games of the year for some, would get knocked off by a brand new IP? Oh my goodness, the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo was really good. I just didn't pick it up, and that I might be part of the problem. I understand that. But I didn't pick it up because the game is going to take forever, and my backlog is already backed up enough. There's just no way I was going to be able to get to that and try to get through the other games, but I will pick it up. I just thought that it would have been more people that would have been anticipating this game actually releasing and would have picked it up much in much bigger droves than 2 million worldwide. God darn. What's that, 2% of the PlayStation 5 population? 2% pick this game up? Oh my gosh. Man, I don't know what is going on in gaming. I don't know what's going on. A blockbuster game a AAA blockbuster game like Final Fantasy VII, the name alone is legendary. And just the demo numbers being at 380,000 for the demo versus 690,000 for Stellar Blade. Man, oh man, this is mind-boggling to me. I just don't know. But the point that I was making, because I got to get back on track. Golly, I done veered completely off the road. But the thing that I was trying to bring up before hearing these just these in the dumpster numbers is that it seems like today, and maybe they've been doing this for quite some time and might not have, I didn't think about it, but them actually being able to release these different demos of these very anticipated or highly anticipated games, being able to use the demo to gauge how well the game is going to do. I think that could become a trend because, of course, these companies, the main goal is to be able to have a really good idea of what the game is going to do. And it's a lot of projecting that happens. A lot of times they get it wrong. Sometimes they get it right. But if you really want to know how well a game is going to do, looking at these numbers and following this data that Ampere analysts have put out there to be able to kind of use what they've been doing as a bit of a blueprint to see how well your game is going to sell, that might not be a bad idea, because at one point in time back in the 90s, the late 90s into the early 2000s, and that always seems funny to me when I say early 2000s because we're only in 2023, so you can't get much earlier than that. But I digress. We used to get demos all the time in the magazines that would be available, Xbox magazine, PlayStation magazine. I don't ever recall Nintendo really giving out demos too much, but at that time they were huge. You would get the magazine, well, I would, just for the demo alone. I did care what was in the magazine, but having that demo of Metal Gear Solid back in 98, that's all I wanted. I ain't care about the magazine. I just wanted that demo. So it was one point in time, demos were just rampant. You could get them, Destroy All Humans. That was a demo at one point in time, along with quite a few others. It would be a little bit of a rarity sometimes to get like the real big games at one point in time. I mean, you would get them sprinkled in, but it wouldn't happen as much. But when it would happen, it would be like an event to get that demo. It would be incredible. So it seems like, based off of these guys wanting to know where the numbers are, it would make complete sense for them to release demos of these higher, more anticipated, highly anticipated games to really get a real active idea of where the numbers are possibly going to fall, just according to, again, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's demo, but more importantly for this situation, Stellar Blade, being able to tell exactly where the numbers could actually fall. So we'll definitely have to see if this continues to be a trend, but them being able to use it for data to be able to, again, kind of predict where the numbers are going to fall. I think this is a really, really great tool for them to be able to use, especially now since demos are free. Back then you had to buy the magazine in order to get the demo. And then sometimes some people was real, man, they were criminals. Doggone jokers rip the plastic open and take the daggone demo disc. I used to hate that. Be a demo I was looking forward to. Doggone take the magazine, pick it up off of the rack, flip it to the back to see what was going on with the demo disc. That joker gone, vanished in the wind. Somebody then stole it, 5-finger discount. But again, we'll see what happens with this in the near future. I'm trying to think, what is the next big game that's coming up outside of Star Wars? Y'all know I'm highly anticipating Star Wars Outlaws, man. That's like my most anticipated game of the year. I know it got some bad press, having $140 or $150 version of the game that was available, Jabba the Hutt, one of those missions are being hidden behind a paywall or something like that. I'm like, man, don't matter to me. I'm going to be getting the standard $70 version, and I would recommend that y'all do the same. I mean, if it's too much money, that's the beauty of it, though. That's the beauty of options. You don't have to get the $70 version. I mean, heck, man, you don't have to get the game at all. If you are upset with the company, you don't like what they're doing, man, you don't buy the game. Just like with Xbox, for me, they haven't been doing the things that I've been wanting them to do thus far. They're getting better. I don't even know. I would have said they was getting better at one time, but dang, you putting your games on PS5 and man, I don't know. But I don't buy it. I didn't buy Xbox because they're not doing the things that I want them to do. So that's the beauty of having options and, not supporting these guys to really let them know, I don't like what you're doing. I'm not supporting it. That's the best way to get any of these companies to get their attention is to not spend money. But it does hurt me, though, a little bit. The gaming side of me, it does hurt me a tad bit when you do have actual games that are good. They're good games, man, but they just don't sell. Like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, not meeting its numbers, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You could see the work that they put into that game and only selling 2 million copies. That's like, dag, man. Those kind of copies, that many is like for a brand new studio. And that's the thing where I'm like, dag, you mean to tell me Shift Up with their first AAA game could sell more than a franchise that's had an amazing lineage like Final Fantasy, especially Final Fantasy VII. Having that kind of name, you can come out the gate and outsell that. Man, it's a little disheartening. I'm gonna be honest with you, but we'll see what happens with this. But I'm very interested to know, do you guys think that moving forward, that we'll start to see more demos of games that we're, really, really anticipating, that have a lot of buzz around them, people are excited for? Do you think this continues to be a trend? Because over on PlayStation, again, I can't speak for Xbox because I don't have a Series X. They may be doing the same thing, but over on PlayStation, they're launching these demos, these big demos left and right. So I'm just curious to know, for you guys, do you think this is going to be something that moves forward? In the future, we're going to be getting more demos than we ever have, in recent memory. But we'll see. But let's go ahead and let's move in to the next story. Now, I got this next story from VGC. Now, because of a job listing, we get some new info on the upcoming EA Black Panther game. Not to be confused, because I saw some people, as I was reading, well, you can get comments and stuff like that, but sometimes, people get things misconstrued, but it's not to be confused with the new, with the, not new, but the Marvel 1943 game, because we saw Black Panther in there. They are not the same game. But, according to a job listing by, new EA studio Cliffhanger, Cliffhanger Games, they seek a principal sandbox designer to work on, who's this on my phone? Let me cut this off. Pardon me. Unprofessional Productions has showed its terrible head. All right, there we go. All right. But they are, okay, so EA Studio Cliffhanger Games, they're seeking a principal sandbox designer to work on Marvel's Black Panther. Now, part of the job description reads that successful applicants, quote, will be instrumental in designing and populating encounters, systems, and gameplay. End of quote. No, that ain't the end of the quote. Let me see. Encounters, systems, and gameplay within a dynamic and evolving open world, drawing upon a deep understanding of technical design principles and a passion for creating immersive sandbox experiences. This role demands close collaboration with design teams, AI engineering, and technical art departments to bring our game world to life. End of quote. So it looks like Black Panther is going to be an open world game. Now, the developers did also mention that they, quote, were still early in development with a long road ahead. End of quote. So I'm trying to imagine what the world does a open world Black Panther game look like? A sandbox Black Panther game. I mean, are you going to be, I don't know. Are you going to be going to different parts of the planet or the country? Or, I mean, what are you going to be doing? Are you going to just be in Wakanda? Are you going to come to New York? I mean, what is going to happen? Of course, the information on this game is really null and void. Again, the only reason why we've gotten this much information on the game is because of a job listing. So again, their words, not mine. They're still in early development. So no other word is coming out about this game, but I'm just trying to imagine an open world Black Panther game. Sounds really interesting. I don't know. What are some thoughts that you guys have that could be part of the premise of Black Panther? Because I'm be honest with you, I'm not at all familiar with the character outside of what is it called? Vibranium? I forget the name of the strong stuff that they have. I haven't followed comic books in years. Just like with Wolverine, when that releases on PlayStation in the next year or two, I have no idea what's going on with Wolverine. I got no idea what's going on with any of these characters. I hadn't even seen any of the Marvel movies. The last Marvel movie I looked at was the first Avengers. Outside of the first Avengers, I have been null and void of anything else dealing with Marvel or comic books or anything. And before that, the last movie I had seen, it wasn't even a movie. Last time I read comic books was Image. I wasn't even rocking with Marvel. I was a Image comic book fan myself. I thought that the artwork was way better in Image, way more mature. We're talking about Spawn, Wildcats, Dragon the Savage, Wildstar. I mean, these Prophet, these are like the comic books I was reading. So again, my knowledge of anything to do with Marvel characters is extremely limited. It's pretty much null and void for the most part. So I'm just curious to know, do you guys that are more in the know think that an open world Black Panther game would work? And if so, what are some of the thoughts that you think the game could be based around to make that open world be a thing that actually enhances the game, more, to make it more, I guess, not realistic, but just give it a much better feel of what's going on in the world, along with the storyline and all that stuff. We have to see, though. I'm getting real long-winded here. But what I want to do now is I actually want to switch back over to listener feedback, and I want to play a voicemail from a brother that I have not heard from in years. I got to play this, man. Matter of fact, and this had to do with the question that I was asking you guys about Phil Spencer last week, which was, what grade would you give Phil Spencer? So, Goose, my good brother, let me play your voicemail to get your answer to this question.
Hey, Kiaun, it's Goose. It has literally felt like an eternity. I am sorry, brother. I've not been tuning in the show for a while, and I am very pleased to say, randomly tuning back in, that you are still doing this. I just saw the show about what grade would you give Phil Spencer, and I would say originally it would be an A, and as the Activision Blizzard deal was coming to a close, it was going to go to an A+, and as they literally held what would have been victory for their platform and just literally said, now we're going to throw in the towel and walk away from the finish line before finishing this race, Like all the time we spent cheering for them to cross that line, the whole backwards compat and all the Game Pass games we were expecting out of Activision Blizzard. And it just suddenly fell flat. It was like, what are you doing? Like the end of Signs, keep swinging. And they just put the bat down and said, we're not going to do this. And for that, it's like the deflating for me felt like a B- personally. It might even be lower. But as much as everyone wants to argue over whether or not they've done damage to the brand, my Xbox Live friends list, like usually that list was about, I'll tell you, about 15 to 20 people live every night. But this damage to the brand, it's literally cut my active friends list by half. So the damage is literal. I'm looking online and I see like 5 to 10 friends online of all the people that I know instead of that 15 to 20 some people.
Man, Goose, it is so great to hear from you, brother. Man, it's been a long, long time. Goose, I want to thank you, brother. And I will tell you, man, like you said, they took us through a roller coaster of emotions, for an Xbox fan. And I did get your score. You would give them still a B-. You are very kind, Goose. You are extremely kind. I gave that brother a D- according to what he has done for me. Because like you said, he had victory in his clutches. He had it, Goose. It was right there. Not only did he get Bethesda, I know it's Bethesda, it's bigger than Bethesda. Can't think of the whole company as a whole, but he got Bethesda, he got Doom, he got Fallout, he got it's a new IP, but Deathloop. Then going from that to he had Wolfenstein as well. Wolfenstein is in there. He has all of the major first-person shooters under his belt. Then he goes out and he gets Activision. Now you got Call of Duty as well. Oh my gosh. It's a trifecta, my brother. Incredible work. And then, like you said, soon as they're about to cross that finish line and they're about to finish strong, all of a sudden you start giving your stuff away to the other platform. What?
Boo this man!
Come on! Are you kidding me, Phil Smith? God, dog, man. It hurts. It hurts. As a real Xbox fan, Goose, I felt betrayed, brother. And I shouldn't even feel betrayed because I didn't go out there and spend $500 on the Series X. But I'm like, Phil Spencer, you got all of these amazing games up underneath your umbrella, all of these incredible games, and you decide, no, shucks, everybody wins when we all play. What the world, Phil? Oh my goodness, we are the world, we are the children. This is this guy's slogan. It is Nintendo and PlayStation. They are not doing that. PlayStation, the best you're going to get right now, and of course, who knows what's going to happen in the future, but right now, the best you can get from PlayStation is them putting their games on PC. That's about as far as they are going. Nintendo ain't even doing that. So you had these guys, man. You could have won. I mean, it would take some work. Don't get me wrong. I'm not just saying just because you get Activision and you got Bethesda and it's game over automatically. No, not at all. That's just not the way it works. But you get these huge, two of the biggest publishers ever in gaming, two of the biggest, and you just don't capitalize on it at all. I would wonder, man. Now, granted, Call of Duty, I believe the marketing rights are up from PlayStation. I don't think they no longer have the marketing rights as it stands right now, but it would be something to see, because according to Phil, that's the funny thing about Phil Spencer, though, man. He, at one point in time, Goose, he was talking about we're not going to taking games away or content away from other platforms. That's not the thing that we're into. We don't think that does anything for anybody. But yet this is the same guy whose company, Xbox, because he is the CEO of Xbox. I understand he doesn't own the company, but he's the CEO. So he is the face of the brand. This is the same guy that allowed Sea of Thieves on the PlayStation 5 to get content, exclusive content that you can't even get on Xbox. He did that. The same guy that said he doesn't believe in all of these different practices, he allowed for Rare to be able to make exclusive content for the PlayStation 5 that you can't get right now on the Xbox. Again, putting his fan base to, in my opinion, putting them on the back seat. Y'all sit on back there, just chill out. Shut up. We gonna give it to you when we want to. Right now, we got to get PlayStation guys in here. Hush up. We'll get it to you when we're ready to give it to you. That's what it feels like to me, Goose. I could be being a little extra there, but that's what it feels like. Here it is. PlayStation has your games. They got Hi-Fi Rush. They got Grounded. And they got the game I was just talking about, Sea of Thieves. And this guy gives them exclusive content. Oh, man. Oh, it's such a smack in the face. It's such a slap in the face to Xbox fans, man. That's why I'm telling you, Goose, I can't get that console right now, brother. Now E3 is coming up. E3 season is coming up, Goose, and that could definitely change. Again, like I said, I'm a huge fan of Ninja Theory. Hellblade 2 looks amazing. It does. Graphically, it looks great, but I don't even know. Stay tuned. But Goose, I feel you, brother. I mean, you gave him a B-. I give him a D. I give him a D-. I just don't like the way that he's taken the brand and done these things to it. He threw in the towel way too early. I understand it's not his call all the time. He has investors. He got Satya Nadella on his back, probably trying to ask him, well, what's going on? Because we know Satya Nadella, he likes to spread the wealth to everybody. You get Windows, you get Windows, you get Windows. That's his model. But for Phil Spencer saying the things that he's saying, I can't, man. Golly, he has some of the best first-person shooters on the market. It used to be known, the Xbox used to be known as the shooter box. Goose. That was what they were known for. And he has a bevy of them. Halo, even though Halo hasn't been really rocking like that, it's gotten a lot better from my understanding. But Halo, Doom, Wolfenstein, oh, man, it's like a trifecta, my brother. And he has them all. But, yeah, man, I feel you, Goose. Again, a B-. I respect your opinion on that. Again, for me, and I love the fact it was a very important thing that you brought up too, Goose. You said that your friends list has been cut in half because of the damage to the brand. I respect you even saying that, brother. I respect that. I respect the honesty, my brother. Fully. Because there are some people that still don't believe that the moves that have been happening are hurting the Xbox brand. It's some people that are sitting there saying everything is fine, everything is good. We're more stronger than ever. It sound like Phil Spencer at that E3. Oh, I'm more confident than ever for the things we didn't show. Oh my gosh. Man, Phil, hey, let me tell you something. Phil Spencer, that dude has some quotes. I mean, you want to talk about some CEOs that have really stretched the truth and just flat out lied? Man, you can get some quotes from that brother. God, dog. And I'm only talking about, always like to confirm this. I'm talking about Phil Spencer, the CEO. Not Phil Spencer, the man, his personal life. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't give a doggone. I'm just talking about Phil Spencer, the CEO of Xbox, the things that he has said on stage for everybody to hear. This guy has told some tales, man, and it happens so much. I mean, just Goose, the latest story that we were told, man, not that long ago, is Xbox games will only show up on other platforms that have Game Pass on it. That was his words. But yet here we are with the games that I named just a couple of minutes ago, first party from Xbox on PlayStation. Brother, I appreciate hearing from you. I really, really loved this voicemail, Goose. It was great hearing your voice, good brother. And I'm hoping, Goose, that you will not make this your last time calling in and just being honest about the situation. The friends list that Goose had, he said it's been cut in half. So the moves again that are happening at Xbox are definitely having an impact on the brand. Again, Goose, I hope to hear from you very soon, my friend. And again, thank you for your voicemail. All right, so we got quite a bit more show to go, man, and I'm glad of this because I feel so bad when I miss a Sunday. You know, it really does bother me, but sometimes I just can't make it happen, man. So we're gonna be here for a little bit longer, and with that being said, we're gonna jump into the next story. This is definitely gonna probably be well over an hour and a half show, but we'll see, maybe not. But I got this next story from Gaming Bible. So according to an industry insider, Destiny 3 is on the horizon and may follow the upcoming expansion, The Final Shape. Now, in an old comment on the Destiny subreddit from a month ago, it was leaked that Destiny 2 would feature multi-class guardians for the first time, able to use abilities from all classes. While many were skeptical, it turns out that leaker was correct, as Bungie announced multi-class abilities just a few days ago in their video about The Final Shape. Now, the game's next DLC that will close the 10-year story. Interestingly, the insider also mentioned in the same post that Bungie is working on Destiny 3 currently, codenamed Payback. Now, given the insider was right about the first point, they could also be correct on the sequel. Now, what is interesting is, man, this guy, from what I understand it, now I got to put this caveat out there because I don't want it to be any cap out here, me lying about it. But me, I've never got into Destiny, never been interested in it, only because, to my knowledge, and, you know, some of you guys could definitely tell me otherwise. I know my good brother Crimson Phoenix will definitely tell me if I'm wrong about this. Shout out to that brother. But to my knowledge, Destiny doesn't have a campaign. Am I right about that? I know that in the first one, they said they tried to half-heartedly give you a campaign where whoever it was kept saying, it's not enough time to explain that. I can't explain that to you. You just got to do this or do that. So it wasn't really a campaign. Now, granted, Destiny 2, I thought it was the same thing, no campaign. I've heard nothing but absolutely unbelievable stories about Destiny, the Destiny franchise as a whole. I mean, people talking about it sucked up months upon, not even months, but years of their life, you know, just playing that game. It being like crack cocaine, you know, that they just gotta play it. It's been a thing where some people said they had to quit the habit Hi, darn, you know it's bad when a joker say a game is a habit, god dog, and I had to put that thing down, to be able to move on to something else. So it seems like they absolutely have that what would you say, that magic that is needed to have the game continue to move forward. Now, I have heard also it's been some snags. It's been some, pretty, rough patches, in between, some of the DLCs that have released, but overall, it seems that the game has been a huge success. So what I'm hoping is, with all of that being said and it not being a campaign, which is why I stayed away, I'm hoping that with Destiny 3, and of course I understand that, usually whatever you did in the previous two, you're going to do for the third one. But what I'm hoping for is that they will, make the third one have a real campaign to it, because I do want to play it. The thing I hear about Destiny that is so amazing is the gunplay, that the gameplay and the way the guns, shoot and, just the gameplay of the game itself is so amazing. It's so smooth and just such a great experience. I want to be able to experience that. So I'm hoping that it could be a situation where Destiny 3, they, put a campaign in there. I mean, after all, Bungie is under Sony right now. They're under the Sony banner. And what does Sony do at its best? They tell stories. Their campaigns are incredible. And I understand for some, that is, what could I say? That is subject, not everybody has the same feeling on that. But for me, these jokers are magical when it comes to their campaign. So I'm hoping with them being under Sony, that this will be something that they put more of an emphasis on, hopefully. So we will definitely see. But it does seem like this guy, he has a great track record, being able to say these things months and months in advance, and it actually come out to be true, talking about the multi-class abilities that Bungie actually announced, where according to Gaming Bible, this guy was talking about it, well before it even happened. So hopefully this guy's track record will continue on, and the new Destiny 3 will be coming out soon, and they'll be working on it. It's just amazing to me, though, that they actually said that this was going to be a 10-year, model, that this game was going to run for 10 years. And they were going to, move on. And just to see that actually happened. So this game came out, had to be 2014. And 10 years later, it's still here. Is it as strong as it was? I can't really say whether it is or not. I mean, seems like the community is sticking around, so it can't be all bad. But just the fact that they set out to do a 10-year plan and it actually came to fruition, that is quite impressive. So I'm hoping, again, for a person like me that's mainly only into campaigns, I'm hoping that for Destiny 3, they will do me that solid and give a very, very great campaign under Sony, to let them know, hey, we need you to do this for us. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, but we shall see. Let's go ahead and let's get into the next story. And I actually got this story from Twitter, or as some people call it, which it really is the name of it, X. Now, we all know the PS5 is a nice size topic when it comes to gaming news, and info about it keeps, well, I should say the PS5 Pro actually is a nice size topic, because people keep on coming out with things, and, new info about it just keeps getting updated. So let me read to you the latest report on this subject from no other than Tom Warren, who said, and I quote, I've seen the many PS5 Pro dev docs, and Sony has made some interesting choices for its next console. the PS5 Pro CPU will target 3.85 gigahertz, which is 10% more than PS5, in a new, quote, high frequency mode, end of quote. In standard mode, it's 3.5 gigahertz. Devs will be able to pick the mode and also get access to 1.2 gigabytes more system memory, as Sony has freed up 13.7 gigabytes on the PS5 Pro for dev use versus the PS5 at 12.5 gigabytes. Now, this isn't new info, but I can verify it's accurate. End of quote. Now, also, according to GS Marana, developers are allegedly, now this is very, very interesting right here, because of course this has not been announced by Sony as of yet, but for months upon months, it's more and more information that is releasing about the PlayStation 5 Pro. Like Tom Henderson said, it's actually going to be 1.2 gigabytes more system memory that developers are going to be able to have more access to. The CPU having 3.85 gigahertz, that being 10% more than the PS5. So we keep hearing these things and, this information, but it's still he say, she say. It's not a lot of concrete information, and even though this still isn't concrete information, well, let me just get into it. So like I was telling you guys, GS Marana they're reporting on this, that developers are allegedly already able to order test kits, and Sony wants every game submitted to certification from August onward to be compatible with the PlayStation 5 Pro. And just that alone, August is coming up very, very soon. April, what is today's date? I always lose tag. It's April 17th right now. So this month is more than halfway over. And according to, again, GS Marana, they are reporting that developers are ordering these test kits, and Sony wants them to start submitting the certification for the PlayStation 5 Pro, starts, that certification process from August onward. And we already heard from, I believe it was Tom Henderson. I think I talked about it in the last episode, that they're going to have these labels. If you want to have that PlayStation 5 Pro label on your game, you have to actually have it running at 4K 60 frames per second, ray tracing, all of that stuff. You got to have certain things implemented or certain features implemented into your game to actually get that label. So with that being said, PlayStation wanting them to start getting this stuff out there for certification by August, that really says that these guys are trying to rev this up fast. And we talked about it before, but the interesting thing about the PlayStation 5 Pro is the timing of it. We know that this year is a wash when it comes to PlayStation first party games coming out, even though they have been doing a fantastic job, in my opinion, of getting third party support. It's always been fantastic. Their fan base, and I can attest to this, we are not starving for games over here. We are not hungry. We got plenty to play, and quite a few more things coming up in the future. We just got to wait and see what they're going to be at this alleged May show that Sony is having. But they've been doing a fantastic job. But just thinking about that time frame, them talking about they're not going to have their first party games, start releasing until March of 2025. That's right in line with the PlayStation 5 Pro. Right in line. So that means that Wolverine or whatever, the new Uncharted, or I don't know about Uncharted, but the new date, I said Days Gone. I meant to say The Last of Us or whatever. Not Insomniac, but Naughty Dog is working on whatever they got coming out, man, my phone just threw my whole joint off. But whatever they got coming out, it's gonna really, really shine when it comes to the PlayStation 5 Pro, having some of those extra features or that extra oomph, that extra 10% to really take advantage of some of the things that they're going to be able to do. So it's just interesting. But of course, it was some more information that came out about the PlayStation 5 Pro. The memory bandwidth will be 576 gigabytes in the Pro, and that's going to be up from 448 gigabytes in the PlayStation 5. So they continue to have these reports come out as far as, the things that the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to be capable of. It sounds really interesting. It sounds good. Again, I got to be fair here because I give Xbox such a hard time. Again, developers, according to them in that report that came out, they are not necessarily super excited about developing for the PlayStation 5 Pro because they haven't pushed the PlayStation 5 to its limits yet. So those different features that they're going to be having, you're going to be required to have in order to get that label, that enhanced PS5 Pro label, we'll have to see how many developers really are going to take advantage of the Pro to get that. Because according, did I report that this is being, I don't know if this is being something that they have to do, that Sony is telling them they have to take advantage of the PlayStation 5 Pro. I don't know, but I do believe that, and of course you don't want to have devs do something that they really don't want to do. But if you mandate that, that's a requirement for them to do that, then, that could definitely, how would you say, make it so people would think twice about the PlayStation 5 Pro and know that every game that's coming out on the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to take full advantage of what that console is going to be able to do. But me thinking about it, I do not think that they're going to be making this a requirement for them to be able to do it. Because again, I think they do have the option to choose which way they want to go with it. But we'll see, man. We'll see. I've been long-winded with this. Man, enough. I'm going to just move on. This PlayStation 5 Pro thing, I'm hoping we see something on it next month. That would be awesome at this alleged show, but we'll see, man. But let me go ahead and speed this up and move into the next story. So I got this next story from Comic Book. Now, of course, like I told y'all earlier in the show, I'm playing Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and that game it's teetering. It's like a 10 out of 10. I still got to finish it, but an incredible game. Absolutely sensational. Insomniac at its finest level. Of course, I haven't played Spider-Man 2 yet. I got to open that up after I finish Ratchet and Clank. We'll see what they're hitting on with Spider-Man 2, but it's been incredible. But nonetheless, I would have never been a fan. It would have never happened, actually. Rift Apart is interesting. I would have never played that game if it wasn't for the Ratchet and Clank reboot that released back in 2016, which made me become such a huge fan of the franchise. And the interesting thing that they did back then, back in 2016 for that Ratchet and Clank reboot, was they made it a $40 game. So I thought the game looked good. I knew Ratchet and Clank had been around since the PS2 era. And I was like, well, it looks good enough and it's only $40. I give it a shot. And I was blown away at how amazing that game was. And like I said, today it made me a fan. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was like the second PlayStation 5 game I bought outside of Spider-Man Miles Morales. So the rest is history. But Speaking of the 2016 reboot, Insomniac Games came out on Twitter to say this. They said, quote, bounce back to Ratchet and Clank 2016 for its 8th anniversary to celebrate the bouncer. Being available to download at no additional cost. Complete your arsenal and revisit the reimagining of the duo's first outing now in 60 frames per second on PS5 via update hashtag Ratchet and Clank PS4. End of quote. So for some of y'all that may not be into Ratchet and Clank, that don't care about the franchise, was like myself, didn't really see it being something that you would have been interested in during the PlayStation 2 era, pick up the reboot. It works on the PlayStation 5. You're going to get it at 60 frames per second. I'm sure you can get it at GameStop dirt cheap right now to run it at the 60 frames per second. And while you're at it, celebrating that 8th anniversary of the game, you'll be able to get the bouncer, which is a weapon that I think was exclusive, where you had to actually, I don't know if it was a pre-order exclusive or what it was, because I never got it. But you'll be able to get that for free at no additional cost. So I would recommend definitely go out there and pick it up. It was a fantastic game. It showed you their roots, it was their as it were, their origin story, pretty much, for the, for you to see. It was just so good, man. And the weapons this is the thing about Insomniac. I gotta mention this. The weapon choices that they give you, golly, nobody does weapons like Insomniac. I mean, it is amazing, brother. It is just incredible. The weapon choices are so remarkable. So different, man. I mean, they give you so many different options on the weapons. It's just so well done. The gameplay, everything. I just recommend, again, pick up Ratchet and Clank on the PS4 for the PS5. It's backwards compatible, 60 frames per second. Man, I might have to play that. I ain't gonna lie. I might boot that joke up later on down the line. I'm lying. I think I'm lying to y'all. I probably ain't. But, it is dope that they did make it 60 frames per second. So yeah, pick that up, man. But, I believe, we ain't at the final story yet, or are we? Yes, we have made it to the final story this week. And I actually got this from Dual Shockers. Now, keeping with the EA superhero subject, we have also received new information on the upcoming Motive Studio developed Iron Man game. Now, we talked about Iron Man a little earlier when it came to Dead Space 2, but I continue. So the info was uncovered by a Portuguese gaming website called Geekin Out. Geekin Out is spelled Geek, Geekinout. Geekin Out. Now, this was due to a job posting for a, quote, senior technical artist, Iron Man, end of quote. Now, on EA's careers page, it lists the job being available at the Montreal-based studio. Now, the language in the job posting specifically states that the Iron Man project will be an open world game. Here we go again. Another job advertisement states, quote, Motive Studios is looking for a senior technical artist to help oversee the rendering related aspects of an open world action adventure AAA title. End of quote. Now, as far as the location goes, that conversation has been more speculation focused and less facts based. Now, when I talk about the location, we're talking about the location for the Iron Man game. Where is it going to take place? Where is Tony Stark's going to be located? on this adventure. So some believe that the game will take place in California since Starks lives in Malibu and the Avengers operations are based in San Francisco. So it would only make sense, that would be the case. But the other interesting thing about Iron Man having an open world that's completely different from Black Panther is Iron Man can fly. So he can cover air, sea, and land. So I'm extremely interested in how a big open world will be when it comes to Iron Man, because the last Iron Man game I played, and it was a half-hearted effort. I believe it was on 360 when they had released the Iron Man game. It wasn't that good. I will tell you that it wasn't that great. But that was all we had at that time. And I definitely cut it off just a couple of minutes into it. Didn't really do it for me. So having these guys, Motive has a fantastic track record right now. These guys have been doing really, really great work. Like I said, if I'm not mistaken, they worked on Dead Space 2. I just want to make sure. Let's see. Did Motive work on Dead Space Remake?
According to Wikipedia, EA announced a remake of Dead Space in July 2021 to be developed by EA's Motive Studio.
Yeah.
Among lead staff includes senior producer Felipe.
Yeah, we ain't got to get into that. Yeah, so Motive Studio, they made Dead Space, the remake, and we saw how amazing that game came out. Iron Man, they also are talking about getting people that actually wrote the comic books, people that are very, very in the know about the Iron Man character, the lore around the world. So, yeah, these guys are really taking it serious, very serious. And just the fact you have them also having an open world, knowing what Iron Man is able to do, what locations is he going to be able to cover? Is he just going to be based in California? Like I was saying about Black Panther, is he just going to be in Wakanda? Or, what is going to happen? But like I say, Iron Man is just more interesting again because he flies, so what are they going to have him doing? This is the game I'm more interested in only because of the studio, Motive. We have some background on what Motive has done and what we can kind of expect out of them versus the Black Panther studio, which is called Cliffhanger Games. I mean, let's see, do they even have a track record? Because I could be wrong. I've never heard of them, but let's see. Cliffhanger, all right. What games has Cliffhanger Games developed?
Here is some information for what games has Cliffhanger made. Here's a summary from Giant Bomb. Navigation, Jagged Alliance, Rage, Shadowrun Chronicles, Boston Lockdown April 28, 2015. Arena, Clash of Champions October 17, 2013. And Jagged Alliance Online September 15, 2012.
I don't know none of these games. What is this? What is this? Have y'all heard of Jagged Alliance? Now, they said it came out on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. Shadowrun, I'm familiar with the franchise Shadowrun, but Shadowrun Chronicles, Boston Lockdown, that was on PC, Mac, and Linux. Arena, Clash of Champions, that was PC. And then they did another Jagged Alliance online for Mac. I don't know, man. I don't know about this. This is a little sketchy. That's why I'm saying the Black Panther game, I don't know about this one. But with Motive, we just saw their work. We see what they've done, thus far. And it's been darn good if you base it off of Dead Space Remake. So I'm definitely a little more excited. Oh, shucks. Oh, man, I'm nervous now. A little nervous about this Black Panther game coming up. God, dog. But they might shock us, though. Everybody got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. But shucks. We'll see, man. But this Iron Man game, I'm excited about it. I know it's still a ways off, but we can at least by job listings for both of these titles, we can see that they both will be open world. And I'll just be interested to see what happens with them. But anyway, that is the end of the gaming news this week, which leads us into video game theater. And in this week's video game theater, we're going to be taking a look back at, what was the year? What year did Batman Telltale's release? That was 2016.
According to Wikipedia.
Well, boy, I done messed up the whole intro. But yeah, we're going to take a look back at 2016. Back to Batman, a Telltale game. And let me tell you something. This game was fantastic. If you have not played it, I would suggest you take a gander at it. But we're going to be taking a look back at the intro of the game where Batman is in the shadows and he is striking fear into the hearts of these criminals. So we will be back with the final section of the podcast after this week's video game theater. Stay tuned, guys.
Back to back, circle up! What the hell is this?
I know you're trying to create a myth, but be careful you don't turn into a monster.
Sometimes you need a monster.
Come back! Come on! Come on!
Batman, a Telltale game. Golly. That game was incredible. I had so much fun with that. I actually caught that on a whim. I've been paying attention to it a little bit, and I was like, I don't know. It looks like it's going to be a little darker, than some of the average games, have been for Batman. And I was like, you know what? Let me pick it up and see what it's about. Now, this is really kind of not completely on, but a little on the heels of A Wolf Among Us. I picked that up and I was definitely blown away by that game. So I was like, well, man, Telltale seems like they kind of got a nice formula going. Let me check out, this Batman game. I'm a Batman fan. Let me check it out and see what it's about. And wow, that game did not let me down. I was very, very impressed. I bought all of the seasons. I think it was like, 2 or 3 seasons. I bought all of them because I was just that impressed. The game still holds up very, very well today. So if you are interested or have ever been interested in the game, definitely pick it up. It was fantastic. But yeah, Batman, a Telltale series. Golly. Loved it, man. So we are now officially in the final section of the podcast at an hour and almost 44 minutes in. Wow, we day. But the question that I have, I know you guys saw it from the beginning, but let's go over it officially together. So the question for this week is, does public opinion ruin a game's sales? Now, I brought this up, and I'm bringing this up because I just picked up, and I told you guys I was going to get it, but I was a little delayed. I just picked up Kill the Justice League, Suicide Squad. Picked that game up and only played the intro. Now, a whole lot can change from the intro. So we're talking about maybe 30, 40 minutes in, somewhere around there, not even quite an hour. But from what I played, oh, shucks. This game is really good. I mean, graphics wise, story is still in the making. It's interesting. It has a good story so far, but I can't really speak on it. I'm only like I said, 40 minutes in. It's not nearly enough time. But the way that they brought the Suicide Squad together, what happened, is interesting, man. And the gameplay has been really good. Now, I will say, I'm not a big fan, because I can already tell. I'm not going to be a big fan of Harley Quinn, and I'm not going to be a big fan of Boomerang. Their movements are a little different. It might take a little while to adjust to them, but if I don't have to pick them, I'm not. I can already see that. But Shark, his name King Shark, and dag, man, I forgot the other guy's name, Deadshot, their movements are so nice. I mean, really smooth. I'm in the jetpack. Well, not in the jetpack, but I have the jetpack on, and I mean, I'm just man, taking these jokers out. It is so much fun so far. So I'm only bringing up Suicide Squad because it was so many words out there where people were not impressed with the game. Some people were mad at the game. They didn't know why they were making a Suicide Squad game. Why would you do that? And as a result, the sales have been abysmal for the game thus far. And this seems to happen a lot. It seems like most people won't just go out there. If it's a game you've already been interested in and you hear the reviews, and the reviews might not be as high as you thought the game was going to be, or it doesn't seem like it's going to be your type of game. It seems like a lot of people will just cut it right there and say, I'm not doing it. That's all right. I'm good. Instead of just making their own mind up and saying it was a game I was interested in from the beginning, I'm going to still pick it up and see what happens. And like I was telling you guys over these last couple of months, the other game that completely shocked me and I was just blown away at how great the game was, that went against a lot of the reviews that happened with it, was Gotham Knights. That was another game that was supposed to have been so terrible, a horrible game. It wasn't a good, what is it? Not an action adventure, but superhero. Wasn't a great superhero game or anything like that. I'm like, I don't know what they were talking about. I have no idea. That was not even remotely my experience with Gotham Knights. I thought it was phenomenal, but yet it got dragged, and the sales, it showed. And then you have the other game that I'm a fan of. I haven't finished that game yet, but Immortals of Avium. That was another game that got dragged. And I thought it was fantastic. From the demo of the game made me purchase the game. I was like, this is not at all what they made it seem like in the reviews. They made me not feel like, but they made it seem like the game was just the worst first-person shooter ever. Now, granted, things can change as you get hours and hours into a game, but from what I've played, and I know I got about 2 hours in that game so far, it has been great. Nothing like the reviews have made it out to be. So I'm just curious to know, these three examples, now that's just me. You guys may have other examples where, you know, some not developers, but some reviewers said that a game was supposed to be the worst thing ever, or it didn't really reach that mark where you were like, man, I don't know what they were talking about either. I loved the game, you know, so that didn't have any effect on me buying the game. But I'm just curious to know, again, does public opinion ruin a game's sales? You know, are people not just taking a chance on their own and saying, well, I'm going to see what it's about. I'm going to pick it up because it was a game I was interested in anyway. And I'm not going to be swayed by some of these reviews that may be slandering the game. I read a review about Ratchet and Clank, and this guy gave it a 20 out of 100. And the Joker said that the game is now officially under just the commercial banner where Sony is just making these guys make these cookie cutter games, you know, and not putting any heart or any soul into it. They're just pumping them out. And I'm like, that couldn't be anything further from the truth. A 20 out of 100. First off, if you're going to give a game a 20 out of 100, that's already suspect. I don't know if I can trust you from the door. But these are some of the things that are being said about some of the games that I have deemed, for me, only me personally, to be fantastic games, very enjoyable. So are we at that point where people aren't making up their own minds, you know, or their own mind and just going with public opinion, you know, to actually have an impact on their spending and buying habits? I'm just curious to know. So that's the question for the week. Does public opinion ruin a game's sales? I would love, absolutely love to hear from you guys. If you guys want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it two different ways. Let me cut this off. You can either call in, and the phone number is 443-380-0281, and let your voice be heard. Or you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Doggone, this was a long show, but I felt like I had to make up for it because I missed Sunday. But I appreciate you guys for being here. It really, really means so much. So thank you. Now, with that being said, before we wrap this thing up and tie a bow on it, always remember one thing. It is not about the consoles. It is about the game. So depending on you guys, because today is Wednesday. We will be back at it again Sunday. But if you guys do decide to actually be a part of the conversation, I'll just probably include them in the next episode coming up on Sunday. So until Sunday, when we do it again, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.